Okay, so normally when someone comes to us with an idea for a sponsored video about a computer, it involves building one up, demonstrating the purpose that we built it for, and bippity-boppity, out comes a video. We've pretty much got that down to a science at this point. With iBUYPOWER, life wasn't really that simple. The computer is already built. It's stress tested and it's boxed up before we ever get our hands on it. So we figured, well, let's just do the whole thing in reverse. Welcome to the first ever unbuild log, where we take apart the machine rather than putting it together, featuring the iBUYPOWER Revolt 2. And drop a like on this video if you guys like this concept and you want to see more of it. So it starts then with software. iBUYPOWER gets full marks for including zero bloat. I mean, not even a Microsoft Office trial with the Revolt 2. With two exceptions, everything in the Add Remove Programs menu is a legitimate utility for the hardware in the system, or it was installed by me. I would personally remove the MSI registration utility, but the lighting controller software, the other one of the two, gets to stay since it's very lightweight and enables a variety of cool effects, from solid colors to breathing to rainbow to off if you're into the whole simplicity thing. Performance-wise, like with any custom-built system, since you could put a Celeron and a GT210 in there if you really wanted to, you'll get exactly what you pay for as long as the system builder has effectively managed the thermals of the machine. And iBUYPOWER seems to have done just that. In spite of the Revolt 2's diminutive size, our CPU never cleared about 65 degrees on the hottest core in IDA64, and our GPU stuck under 50 degrees with Unigine Heaven Extreme looping. All of this while staying exceptionally quiet. Great results here. So let's start tearing her apart then, shall we? iBUYPOWER didn't actually explain what the deal with the peripherals was, so apparently sometimes it comes with some and sometimes not, but sometimes others. The mouse is frankly terrible, so I wouldn't worry too much about that, but the mouse pad and the mechanical keyboard that they threw in would be nice to have included with the system because they're not too shabby. Side panel disassembly was pretty straightforward. There's two thumb screws and it pops right off. An interesting note here, though, is that you can actually remove the plastic fascia piece, revealing actually kind of a slick-looking metal panel with what looks like a spot for a window. Perhaps another, like, slimmed-down version coming down the line? Next, I undid the cable management for the RGB lighting controller. It's got three connectors. USB for that software control I showed you before, a 3-pin for the LED strip, and a DC plug for power. Then there's really not much else that we can access from this side, although we do get a look at the dual 120mm radiators that are responsible for that cool, quiet operation. The SSD mount in the front is accessed by simply lifting the giant window in the front. Then it can actually be removed with a single thumb screw. The SATA ports are pre-wired up, kind of like a backplane, and you can mount up to 2 SSDs in the drive sled, then just pop them in. Very, very nice. Our machine is equipped with a single 240 gig ADATA SSD. The second side panel reveals, well, most of the rest of the inside. So you got the power supply, the video card, and the hard drive. The power supply is a bit of an odd choice to me. The RM750 is a 750 watt power supply, so kind of overkill for a system like this, although consumers think they need ginormous power supplies for their systems, so I can't put too much of the blame on iBUYPOWER for obliging them. But the bigger question mark for me with this one is why choose a power supply with a hybrid fan mode, since you're relying on that fan to cool the VRM area of the motherboard and the system memory. So I'd recommend that iBUYPOWER stick with power supplies that keep their fan engaged, even if at a very low RPM, to eliminate a potential hotspot there. The video card choice reveals why those temperatures were so freaking awesome. This is a to the 9 sort of configuration, and it's got an EVGA GTX 980 Ti with a hybrid air and water cooler. That means fresh air is drawn through the bottom of the case, through that radiator, then reused again through the air cooler before being exhausted out the top rear of the chassis. And you can argue till you're blue in the face about reusing air to cool something twice, but the proof is in the pudding, and that result is some pretty tasty pudding. The hard drive mount in the front contains a 1 terabyte 3.5-inch WD blue, but you could put in anything you want. IMO, boot SSD, and mass storage 3.5-inch hard drive is still the way to go, but that may change in the next couple of years, though thankfully, because of the dual SSD mounts in the front, iBUYPOWER is leaving room in the future for mass storage SSDs to go along with your boot SSD. Something that Mushkin wants to happen sooner rather than later with that 4 terabyte drive they announced for $500. With the power supply removed, we get a good look at the rest of the guts here. ITX boards are pretty much universally limited to 2 DIMM slots, and ours is equipped with 16 gigs of ADATA DDR4 2400 MHz. But thanks to DDR4's already improved RAM density, consumer-grade 16 gig sticks are available, giving the Revolt 2 up to 32 gigs of capacity. For CPU cooling, it's handled by a Corsair H55 that has actually some of the most creative tubing management that I think I've ever seen. The tubes are zip-tied into the nooks and crannies around the CPU socket, then crammed under the power supply bracket in a way that I would have thought would make it kink, but didn't end up doing so, leading us finally to the CPU and motherboard. So that chip under the H55 cooler is an Intel Core i7 6700K Skylake quad-core with hyperthreading. That's top of the line on the consumer end of Intel's lineup, and then our motherboard is an MSI gaming model that equips our machine with compatibility for Wi-Fi, M.2 SSDs, and of course, all the hardware inside. Which I guess kind of concludes our first ever unbuild log with the iBUYPOWER Revolt 2. I hope it was as interesting for you guys as it was for me to tear this baby apart and see exactly how they handled all the cooling and cable management of this unique little system that I first covered a month ago at CES 2016. So thanks for watching, guys. If this video sucked, you know what to do. But if it was awesome, get subscribed, the check mark this way, hit that like button, or even consider supporting us directly by using our affiliate code to shop at Amazon, instructions for which are up there, buying a cool shirt like this one, or with a direct monthly contribution through our community forum. Now that you're done doing all that stuff, you're probably wondering, what should I watch next? So click that little button in the top right corner to check out Holy Shit Episode 2, where I check out the largest mouse pad I've ever seen. Seriously, it's like as big as this system is small. It's huge.